Hey, this is Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss. You are listening to the Odd Dad Out podcast, and normal is not my specialty either.
Beginning Odd Dad Out podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Odd Dad Out podcast, where normal is not my specialty. I am your host, the in way over my head, Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad Out. You can find me at oddadoutpodcast.com or at Odd Dad Out on all the social media places. And this is the show where I ramble and rant and empty out whatever the crap's going on in my head. I make fun of some weird new shit, and I tell you about a podcast that I think you should listen to, because you should be listening to more podcasts. It's good for you. Trust me. I'm fairly certain at this point I've got a podcast death wish. Because as I have gotten into doing the interviews for National Podcast Post Month, which is still a month away, I still have a month to get in, and theoretically any time that I can work in stuff towards the end, but I have a month to have episodes ready for the launch in November, for the big break that is 30 days of podcasts and my insane ass doing 30 days of interviews, which of course I just said I'm recording them in advance because holy fuck, if I had to do that every day, I would die. It's already it is wearing on me so much, just because I've got a severely limited scope of time in any given day where I can record. The time that I have on Wednesday or whatever which day that I end up, which is usually Wednesday, I usually record this and release on the same day. Wednesday. But the time I have, I basically have like a 2-hour block in the middle of the day, and that's when I can work. Because that's when my son is asleep. That's it. That is my working time frame weekdays. And then I have some time on Sundays where I can record because I'm off of work, but I still have family time and family obligations and grocery shopping and doing normal dad things. You know, I still have laundry and yard work and all of the shit that I've got to do. So trying to get 30 interviews crammed in is proving to be quite hectic. And I've got a few of them done, and I've got a few of them scheduled, but holy crap, trying to do 30 interviews, I'm sitting here thinking, shit, I still need so many more people. And how am I going to get them all in? I have no clue. I really have no clue how I'm going to get. And there's a few people there's a few people I've said where they've said yes, I just need to schedule them and other stuff like that. So there's just so much to do. And then thinking about, oh shit, I've got to edit these down. And I've got to not talk so fucking much, because the more I talk, the longer these go on, and they turn into these 2-hour calls that I need to try and edit down into something a little more digestible if you're going to be listening to me every day for a month, which I don't expect you to do. If you do, thank you, you're a trooper, but holy shit, it's going to be a lot of me. It's going to be a lot of me, but it's a lot of me and other people, and I think that's what is worth listening in for come November. It's going to be a lot of other people, some familiar voices, some lots of new ones. It's going to have to be, because there are a lot of people that I'm going to end up talking to, that I have talked to already, that I've mentioned them, but they haven't been guests on the show before, because I do have such a limited guest capacity under normal circumstances. But yeah, just the undertaking so far has been crazy. I've been stacking them and doing, like, in some cases 2 a day, 2, 3, I can get more in if I could shut my fucking mouth, but you all know I can't exactly do that. So I need to rope myself in for some of these, I think, just so I can get through them. I got to knock them out, because then again, I'm not sitting there with a 2-hour call that I have to edit down into an episode, because holy shit, that takes forever. But that's not all that's going on, because you're probably, maybe you notice, maybe you don't. I already mentioned normally shows drop on Wednesdays, but not this week, because I've just got, on top of all of that, on top of trying to interviews and editing and editing for work stuff and for client stuff, and trying to edit all of these episodes down and trying to get through them. I've got one episode completed, and that's not even show notes. Got one of the episodes. No, I'm fumbling and I'm not cutting it out because why? I'm too tired right now. But on top of all of that, we've been dealing with, in the past couple of weeks, Emmett has been sick. And if you don't remember Emmett is our, I think he's 12-year-old. I lose track of how old he is, but he's old. Our 12-year-old Labrador Dalmatian. And he's already, he's got a thyroid condition, and he actually just went in a few weeks ago for a checkup, just a regular checkup. They check his thyroid levels. They adjust his medication. Well, in the time since then, he hasn't been eating, like, at all. And we thought maybe it was because we changed his food dish, because he was having some indigestion and trouble. And so we're like, okay, maybe he's just like, he doesn't like to, like, we got one of those raised dishes so he doesn't have to bend over because he's old. We're like, here, we'll get one of those raised dishes so he can eat from that and not have to bend over so far. And that's supposed to be better for their indigestion, stuff like that. And we got him some medication for the indigestion stuff, but he still wasn't eating, and he's lost a lot of weight. And we took him to the vet. They did a bunch of blood work, did all that stuff, and they couldn't find anything wrong. Now we're thinking actually he's having like real like dental pain to where it hurts him. We've noticed the way he chews. He's chewing in a funny way, and we're hearing kind of like a clicky sound. We're like, okay, something's wrong with him. Something's wrong. It must be wrong with his teeth, and that's why he's not eating, is it hurts to eat. And as somebody with fake teeth with a lifetime of dental problems, I know the feeling. I 100% know the feeling of, I don't want to eat. It hurts too much to eat. So, yeah, I'm there with him. And I see the way he's eating what little bits we can get him to eat. He really can't chew up much of anything. Even just give him a hot dog, he's having trouble eating something like that. And so we're like, we're just trying anything we can do to get him something to eat, because he's lost a ton of weight. He can't keep it much of anything down. I think at this point his stomach is so messed up because he hasn't been eating. So I'm sure he's like, I worry about him getting an ulcer at this point, and he's pretty old. So all of this stuff just compacts, because of his age. So I'm actually taking him in as this is coming out. He is currently at the vet getting sedated and having a full dental exam and all this stuff done. And I think it's actually normal for them to sedate dogs to do dental exams, but in his case, he doesn't like people messing with him. So it was predetermined one way or another he was going to have to be sedated. It takes 3 people to trim his nails. So he doesn't like when you touch his feet, but they know him in there, and he's snappy, but he goes in with a muzzle, but he's a big baby, but he's super protective when I'm around. And so it's difficult for them to do exams on him sometimes. But yeah, so he has to get sedated. So as I speak, as you listen, if you're listening to this on release, he is getting checked up. Hopefully we can find out something. Hopefully we can find some sort of treatment for him so that he can get better, so that he can get eating again and start putting some of that weight back on, because at this point, he has lost so much weight in the last couple of weeks. He is actually at the weight he is supposed to be. He has not been at that weight in about 8 years. And I've talked before about how much weight he lost because of his thyroid medication, and how when it worked with him, he just started dropping weight like crazy. And in the course of like 3-4 months, he lost almost 40 pounds. just because his medication really recalibrated his system and he was more lively and doing stuff like that. But at this point, he is just, he can't eat and he's just got no energy. And I mean, I can't blame him because if he's having trouble, he can't eat a hot dog right now and it sucks. And I just hate seeing him like this. And so I'm hoping that we can get him better, but all that's going on. And on top of that, right now, Sam is not feeling the greatest. So, he's up half the night coughing and a 4-year-old who's feeling sick is just wailing like they're going to die. Ah! To the point where him wailing in the bathroom because he thought he was going to throw up woke up everybody else in the house. Damien came running down the hall at about 4:30 this morning because Sam was in the bathroom wailing because he thought he was going to throw up. Like, what's going on? What happened? He's like, half awake, bedhead, brushing down the like something, catastrophic happened. He's like, what happened? Like, nothing. Sam's sick. Go back to bed. And he's just in there wailing. Ah! And I feel bad for him, but it's also kind of funny. But it's funny. He gets really dramatic, and his reaction to most things is to scream. So, that stuff like that. It was like, yeah, that's all Sam. Again, I'm not laughing because he's sick. I'm laughing because he just gets so dramatic and he just starts wailing like he'd be a perfect ghost in stuff. All that to say, it's just been hectic and tiring, and there's a lot going on right now. So I think I'm going to cut it short there. I'm going to leave it with that. Not go too long today, I don't think. So I'm going to take a break, play you some promos, and I will be right back with the news.
Hi, it's Luke from the Luke Who's Talking podcast, where I, Luke, talk about things that are, happening in my life, and I'll probably say words that you've never heard before, like flat out like a lizard drinking. That's actually not really a word, that's like a phrase. Anyway, you can find the podcast on iTunes. I'm not calling it Apple Podcasts, okay? Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, or you can just Yahoo, Luke Who's Talking. People still use Yahoo, don't they?
Hey everybody, this is Jason.
And Jeff.
And Blake.
And we're the History of Bad Ideas podcast. And if you like hearing geeks talk about Fisto from He-Man,
or zombies, or dragons, or zombie dragons.
I was given copy to read, but it's a piece of crap. So if you just like any geek or any fun stuff, just listen.
we drop every Wednesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Tangent Bound Network, or WeBeGeeksPC.com.
Oh, God, I'm out of here.
Bullshit from the news.
First up, let's start with a positive story. Yeah, mostly positive. Irish student tricks scammers into giving him money for charity. This is just wonderful, isn't it? Because, you know, people get those fucking calls and emails and instant messages and like fucking, especially like Instagram messages and fucking Twitter private messages and all the bullshit. Some asshole sliding into your DMs saying that they want to give you $10 million or whatever the fuck. Well, this kid in Ireland decided he was going to mess with them. And he said, like, oh, yeah, great. So what they like the scam that they came across that at least was presented to him, they said, if you invest £1,000 in our company, you will have 50% ownership and blah, 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 blah. And you're totally going to make a ton of money, blah, 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 blah. So being a pretty smart guy, he hits back with them like, hey, like, you know what? I felt like $1,000 is too small. That's insulting. I'm sending you £50,000 to get everything going so that I can make a ton of money in your company. Great. So then he makes a fake PayPal transfer notice and sends that off to him saying that he sent, the $50,000 to him and all this stuff. And he's like, hey, it's not showing up in my account. Like, I thought you sent it. And then he's like, oh, well, I just got a notice from my bank. My bank thinks that it's a fraudulent charge, so they're not going to release the funds. So they need you to send like a small amount back to prove that it's an actual account, that we have business going on. So he convinces the scammer guy to send him 25 pounds, sends it to him, has it transferred to his account with the understanding that by transferring that his bank would then release the 50,000 pounds that he was transferring over. and like ultimately just like, and they were like, oh, we're going to speak in code so that nobody knows what's going on and all this stuff. But really, in the end, he just like, dude, you just got screwed, just saying. And then sent him a email saying, thank you for your donation, as he donated the 25 pounds that he scammed from the guy to the Irish Cancer Society. It's like, thank you for your donation in the name of the scammer. That was even better. And apparently he's done this a few times. This is kind of just a thing that this guy does, is that whenever he gets these scammers, that he pulls this same scam back on them and collects all this money and donates it to charity. And he says that he never reports them to the police because it's just like, hey, he's doing a good thing. And when they interviewed the police, they're like, yeah, we've never heard of this going on. Like we've never got any complaints from this guy. We've never heard any, like the names that are being mentioned. Like, yeah, I never heard of this. They looked into the account that was the scammer guy and it's all been shut down, stuff like that. I was like, great, awesome. But this is just like, this is a great thing, man. There's like, more people need to do this. Turn the tables on the scammers. Nobody, for any reason, is ever going to just give you a fuck ton of money. You did not win the lottery in Kenya. I'm pretty sure they don't have lotteries in Kenya. And I'm pretty sure you'd have to, go to Kenya and enter the lottery to win the lottery in Kenya. But anyway, I just thought I wanted to talk about this one because this was just fucking great. Moving right along, getting into the stupid shit because people are fucking dumb. This one actually started making mainstream news today. Idiot woman climbs into a lion enclosure because they're so fucking idiot. And I'll have the video of this dumb bitch in the show notes at odddadoutpodcast.com. Plug. But long story short, some fucking idiot woman climbed over the barricade into a lion enclosure and started, I don't know if she was dancing with him or or taunting him or what the fuck she thought she was doing. She seemed to think it was perfectly fine because there was one of those big cement moats where it's like, a big, like 10-foot deep concrete moat that separates where she was standing from the lion. But I have a hard time believing that lion might not have any trouble making that jump. It didn't look that far to me. And I'm just thinking, man, she deserves to get fucking eaten. Bitch, there's a fucking fence. There's like 2 fences and a moat. And you decide to jump all these fucking fences and get into the lion enclosure for what? What reason is there that requires more than a brain cell to figure out is there for jumping inside a fucking lion enclosure? You fucking idiot. And like the people in the zoo are like, yeah, this really happened. This isn't a fake video. And I think they're trying to find the woman because they're saying like, this is unlawful trespassing. She could have gotten seriously hurt or killed. We have a zero tolerance policy on trespassing and violation of the barriers. So Yeah, they don't know if anything's happened with her yet, or if she's had any. If there's, like I said, if they've found her, arrested her, find her, something happened with her. That at this point, I haven't done any follow up checks to see if anything's happened with her. Maybe she tripped and fell and got eaten by the lions because she fucking deserves it for climbing in there. But you would think somebody doing something that stupid, and I think something of that caliber has been the jackass of the week in weeks past. But it's 2019 and people are stupider than ever, including celebrities, especially celebrities who have a history of prison. And so now I present to you my jackass of the week, R. Kelly. R. Kelly is complaining that he's only allowed to see one of his girlfriends while he's in jail. Yeah. The fuck? Him and his lawyers are basically trying to get him released on bond because his visitation rights only allow him to have one of his girlfriends on the visitation list at a time for 90 days. And then he has to change it up. Because apparently he lives with multiple ladies. He lives with multiple ladies, and he can only see one of them at a time for 90 days. Oh my God, it's so terrible. I can't. Look, dickhead. Let's see. What are the charges he is currently sitting in jail on since July? Federal sex crime charges. He's got charges in New York on racketeering, kidnapping, forced labor, and sexual exploitation of a child. Not to mention the fact that he's also got a history of child sexual misconduct charges from, the last 30 years. Never mind the fact that it is well known that he coerced Aaliyah's parents, allegedly. Big fat allegedly, because not that I don't know how litigious he is when he's currently in jail, but either way, allegedly married Aaliyah, the late Aaliyah, when she was only 14 or 15. That he coerced her parents into agreeing to it, or there was a fake wedding. There was a whole bunch of crazy bullshit with him apparently marrying her when she was 15. Shit like this. Never mind the some of the videotapes and things like that of things that he did with kids and fuck. Dude, you should be glad you're not I'm sure he's in solitary confinement because he's R. Kelly, but I don't care how much you believe you can fly. Your ass is going to be getting pounded by Bubba for the rest of your fucking life. Because as soon as you get released into Gen Pop, someone's going to make you their bitch. And it's not going to matter how many of your girlfriends you got back at home that you don't get to see, because you're going to be somebody's girlfriend. Fucking jackass. All right. I don't know. I'm wrapping it. I'm doing it quick because, like I said, I'm tired. I got a bunch of shit going on. I gotta go to the post office. I gotta go to the doc. I got all this stuff to do. So I'm going to take one more quick break and be right back with this week's recommended listening, A Girl and Her Horror.
This is Murderous Minors, Killer Kids, bringing you the frightening and truly insane tales of children with the thirst to kill. Kindergarten through 12th grade murderers. True stories thoroughly researched. Join us weekly for new tales of parents' worst nightmares on Murderous Minors, Killer Kids.
Recommended listening.
A little bit of horror, thrillers, and everything nice? Oh, sorry, I most definitely did not mean nice. I'm Natalie, and welcome to A Girl and Her Horror, where I review a horror movie or show in 5 minutes or less. There will be spoilers, duh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new, glorious, magnificent, spookalicious podcast. Excuse me, I need an outlet for my dramatic self. I just wanted to do a little intro just to tell you what to expect and to tell you the ideas and directions I have planned for the show. This will be a weekly show, and most of my reviews are going to be around 5 minutes, not counting the intro, and I'm going to do my absolute best to keep to that time constraint. Why? Because I made an arbitrary rule and the gods of Girl and Her Horror say so. I'm not going to read or watch any reviews before watching any of these movies, so you'll get as untainted an opinion as I can possibly give. If it's an older movie, I'll let you know if I've seen it or heard anything about it. I'm not an expert on movies or a big film critic. I'm just someone who watches a lot of horror movies and has opinions. This is just a fun side hobby for me. I wanted to start a podcast where I can be more creative, add the challenge of being short, because I'm crazy like that, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and stick around. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at A Girl and Her Horror. I will also be leaving links in the description. Let me know what you think, and if there are any other movies you want me to review in the future. Thank you to Purple Planet for the use of their song Gothic Horror, and I will see you next week. I hope you're not afraid of the dark.
A Girl and Her Horror is a short form horror movie review podcast hosted by Natalie from Some Kind of Brown, which is a much more serious interview, social issues podcast. But this is where she kind of, you could say, lets her freak flag fly and her love of horror movies and does 5-minute, like, super obviously condensed overview and reviews of horror movies. And she actually opened by doing basically all of the Conjuring series and all of the Conjuring universe movies, like all the Conjuring movies and the Nun and the Annabelle movies. And she did all that as kind of an opener for the show. And it made me want to go back and watch them all again. And I realized that there seems to be kind of a pattern with me and female-fronted horror movie review podcast. What can I say? I'd rather listen to a woman talk about horror movies because it just seems infinitely less douchey than when guys do it. And, you know, I love horror movies. I was raised on them. I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street stuff when I was 5 or 6 years old. I'm super comfortable with that. It's my favorite type of movie to watch. But it seems like when guys start talking about them, they either get to be super nerdy or they get to be super technical and kind of dickish. And so it's always more fun when you hear women talking about horror movies. They think, I think it's like, I don't know what it is about it, but there's more, they enjoy it more and they express more joy, even when they get super technical. And Natalie will actually get kind of technical and reference the use of, overuse of Dutch angles in this and, unnecessary exposition. And she gives it a technical kind of running down about, she will critique a film on its technical merits and also its ability to be scary or not. And the story and the plot and the overuse of stereotypes and things like that. As Kim and Ket's intro would point out, the going up the stairs when she should be running out the front door. But Natalie does all of this, whereas someone like Kim and Ket Stay Alive goes through the entire movie detail for detail and probably has an episode that's pretty much as long as the movie. And you could probably play along and you can pretty much play their game along with watching the movie in time. Natalie crunches it all down to her reviews are 5 minutes. And I don't think she's really cracked that rule yet. She said she wants to keep the reviews under 5 minutes. So opening credits, end credits, make the episode 6 to 6.5 minutes. That's it. Super short form. You can cram them for all of October. She's doing, she's got a special series. I haven't gotten into it yet. I'm probably going to be listening to it tonight, But she's got a special thing coming up for October. I think she's actually dropping 3 episodes a week. Don't quote me on that, but she's got something special because it's a horror movie podcast, and horror movie people are going to do something fun for October, or even movie people in general. But the horror movie people, man, this is our time to shine. The whole world is our jack-o'-lantern right now. And so, she's doing something special. So you need to check her out. A Girl and Her Horror. You can find her in all the usual podcast places. And of course, links in the show notes at oddadoutpodcast.com and in the I know I need to update it recommended listening page. I need to get on that. I really do. But that's going to do it for me for this week. Thank you so much for putting up with me for whatever the hell else. And for all of you new listeners, thank you. And I realize I'm saving this to the end, but I even more thank you for sticking it out to the end. Remember, you can catch all the past episodes, get links to all of the stuff I talked about in the news, all in the show notes at oddadoutpodcast.com. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, all the places. You know how to subscribe to a podcast. I don't need to tell you that. And if you do need me to tell you that, hit me up on the social medias at OddDadOut on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or in the Oddballs Facebook group, or just email me, show@oddadoutpodcast.com, and I will tell you how to subscribe to the show. Or I'll just say, hey, if you just feel like saying, hey, because, And one more before I go, one last big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss, Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, Chris from Play Comics, and Lisa and Sam from I Shake My Head. You guys are awesome, and you can be awesome too. Just go to the support tab at oddadoutpodcast.com. There's Patreon, there's PayPal, there's Buy Me a Coffee, there's whatever. You could just buy a t-shirt, whatever the hell you feel like. But your way of supporting the show, if you want to be awesome and support the show like that. But enough rambling, enough spiel. I'm out of here. I've got interviews to do. And until next week, oddballs, thank you and good night.